Hi everyone, we're here today live at the Venture Capital Sydney Investment Conference. It's day 2, and my guest joining me today is David Toomey, the CEO of Deltine High Yield Motel Fund. David's got an incredible 30-year-long journey across investment management, private equity, and executive leadership, including helping grow Tritinium from a $10 million startup to a $2 billion NASDAQ-listed company. David, those are great achievements, and it's wonderful to have you here.
Thanks very much, Rhythm. Thanks for the introduction. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. Now, David, I love that quote on your profile about adversity revealing true character and preparing people for extraordinary destiny. So, with 3 decades across different countries and sectors, there must be a story behind that philosophy. So, what's that one moment that really shaped how you approach investing today?
Yeah, absolutely, Rhythm. I mean, that really comes from tenacity. I really believe in focus and determination as my philosophy. And I learnt that from a young age. Growing up in central Queensland, I was actually thinking that I wasn't smart enough to work in the CBD because that was foreign to me. It was just the unknown. But as I went through university in Brisbane, I realised that was just a perception. And once I broke through that glass ceiling, nothing was off limits.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, well, someone growing up in New York doesn't think it's impossible to get a job in New York. That's where I want to go. So early on in my career, I set my sights for New York. And, growing up in regional Queensland and coming through accounting degree and aiming for investment management, it's a long road. It's a lot of study. But I went through and did my chartered accounting qualification. I went to London and worked there. And then I got a wonderful stepping stone role in Amsterdam, where I had a portfolio and risk position in the largest private equity fund in the world. Yeah. Worked really hard and then got a investment management position. So it sounds easy when I play it back like that, but that was a 10-year journey. And a lot of adversity because, it's not easy to get those jobs. It wasn't easy to make that transition. It wasn't easy to do 6 years of extracurricular study, the CA and the CFA. But in 2000, after leaving university in 1997, I found myself in New York on Wall Street doing a $11 billion deal with Cerberus Capital and some of the largest pension funds in the world. And so I'd reached my goal, and that was the really period that taught me about tenacity.
Yeah, amazing. That's really wonderful,
Yeah.
David, to share. We can definitely feel your passion, and you kept going. You didn't give up, and that's why you are here today. So that's really wonderful. Now, David, can you tell us what made you look at this fragmented model industry and think that this is where institutional investors are missing out? So can you walk us through that light bulb moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I have been an investment manager and chief investment officer of a clean tech fund. I have managed venture capital private equity. I've been a corporate finance advisor. I've also done debt investing as well with the bank. So I was looking for something that had great returns but property backing or really good downside protection. And after seeing all of those segments and all of those sectors around the world, for example, in Amsterdam, the funds that we targeted and the return benchmarks that we targeted in venture were 25%, and the return benchmarks in private equity we were targeting was 16 to 18%. Now they're complex businesses, very hard to achieve and very hard to implement and execute a private equity deal. Whereas here in Australia, I found a commercial property asset class, a much simpler asset class, a much simpler transaction, much simpler operationally, offering the same returns. The motel sector in Australia, you can buy motels for a 10 to 12% yield, and by improving their operations over a 5-year period, you can get the capital growth, the capital gains, and putting them in a portfolio, you can get that 20% total return per annum. So it was just too hard to refuse. And the light bulb moment, I think, came when I was doing corporate finance consulting back in 2013. I was working with a team that was rolling up the senior living and retirement village sector. And I saw the opportunity in that sector and the roll-up. The roll-up in Australia, the consolidation of cottage industry is a well-worn path. And so I applied it here. And it's hard to ignore the returns for the simplicity of the transaction and the property backing.
Absolutely. Now, another question that comes to our mind is for the investors who are watching this interview, they usually think that, motels are very risky because you're targeting some impressive returns with that. What makes a suburban model in regional Australia such a compelling investment
Yes.
compared to traditional office or retail properties?
It's a very good question. Now, that's true for a segment of the motel industry. So small motels between 5 rooms and 20 rooms, they're $1 million to $5 million of asset value. They are smaller, riskier propositions. They don't have the scale. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the institutions looking at assets that are 20 million and higher. So we're looking at a really nice little segment between that. So the 5 million to the 20 million. So they're too small for institutions, but too expensive for your mum and dad investors. But they offer enough scale to provide enough money to pay a really professional on-site manager, a small cleaning team, and the operations isn't complex. Checking 5 or 10 people in a day, cleaning 5 or 10 rooms. It's quite a simple operation. And we tend to try and steer clear of food and beverage, just because, it does add a bit of complexity. So we're going after something of scale, something that's simple operationally, and have enough scale to provide enough money to hire an on-site manager, a professional on-site manager, and therefore we don't have the risks of a mum and dad operated small motel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for explaining that. It answers
Thank
the
you.
questions that the investors will have. Now, you mentioned that, this sector is quite ripe for consolidation. So you're essentially doing what's happened in other industries,
Yes.
but for motels. So what does that actually look like day to day? Like, how do you transform these individual properties into
Yes.
a cohesive portfolio?
Yeah, thank you. No, it's quite an opportunity there. An independently run motel. The operator is usually quite good at what they're doing, but they can't be good at everything. They can't be an expert at digital marketing, an expert at revenue generation and revenue management. They can't be an expert at operations and maintenance and bookkeeping and all of those things. So there's always some opportunity in those areas, some low-hanging fruit. So the consolidation, what the consolidation can do is centralise some functions like digital marketing, bookkeeping, procurement, and bookings and revenue management, and it brings those things together and it optimises them. It not only centralises and creates that efficiency, but also does it better. So that's a really, I guess, simple way of explaining the very quick wins that you can get on the board when you're consolidating these assets together, because there is low-hanging fruit, and centralised experts can provide an uplift immediately.
Absolutely. Now, David, looking ahead, if this fund performs as projected over the next 5 years, what does success look like? Where do you see this consolidation play heading?
Yes, no, a success for us will be the biggest owned and operated single-branded motel chain in Australia. A lot of the motel chains in Australia, a lot of the brands that we're familiar with, the Best Westerns and the Comfort Inns, they're a marketing affiliation. They're not owned and operated. So we want to have an owned and operated model where the alignment is between investment in the asset and investment in the business, and you reap rewards through increased revenue in the business by investing in the asset. So that's important to us. It'll be Australian owned and operated with the Australian investors and Australian fund. And it will lift the quality of services for customers in the regions. We've all got experiences. We've all got stories of experiences when we've stayed at sort of subpar quality accommodation, the bad mattress or the cold shower or the noisy air conditioner. If we can get those three things right, a comfortable mattress, a good functioning air conditioner and a warm shower, we're most of the way there at providing a good quality service. So we're aiming for a 4-star quality accommodation provider in the regions, bringing basically the innovation and the quality of a city hotel to the regions.
Right.
And so that's our vision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing, David.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your vision with us. Now, before we wrap up, you've been here as both a capacity of a panelist and that you hosted yesterday and today as a company exhibiting. So what's your experience been like? Well, what are your key takeaways from the past 2 days?
Yeah, no, Wholesale Investor is an excellent platform for investors. I think as an investor in Australia, you get a lot of things coming at you on social media and through brokers and advisors and your own personal anecdotes. So what it does is creates a theatre where you can see everything side by side and truly compare different investment opportunities, and that way you can more accurately assess them. And I think that the team at Wholesale Investor does it very well, bringing in a really good crowd, a really good engaged investor base, and a lot of really good opportunities as well. So, I think that's is well done, and well done to Wholesale Investor for that.
Thank you so much for saying that, David. And it has truly been wonderful working with you. To our viewers watching, if you would like to learn more on Deltine, please feel free to check out the Deal Room on our Capital HQ platform. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next interview.
Thank you very much,
David.
Rhythm. Thank you very much, everyone.